Hey, this is BremSter, and tonight I'm going to try and tackle a puzzle which I have been told is one of the harder puzzles in the Cagey Constraint Pack. I have no record of testing this one myself, though it's possible I did about 18 months ago when we were putting all this together. This is Forever 22 by Wisteria Fall, and this uses the killer and the sandwich constraint. Every tester has flagged this one as a trek into the wilderness. So let's see what I can find. So we have normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. We have digits in cages must sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage, if given, and digits may not repeat within cages. So we know all of these digits sum to 22, but... all of these digits sum to 22, but for example, those two couldn't be the same digit to make the total, so there's no repeats. And the if given is because this cage has no total given. So, yep. And then the numbers outside the grid give the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 in that row or column. So basically, let's say there was a 5 outside this in this row. We could have, say, a 1 here, then we could have a 5 and we could have a 9, and that would mean there would be a 5 total between the 1 and the 9. Or we could have 2, 3, and then 9, so 1, 2, 3, and then 9, and that would put 5 between the 1 and the 9. But basically, whatever is between the 1 and the 9 in all of these columns has to sum to 22, and in this row as well. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. Now, I was looking at this cage, and I think this is going to be fairly close to forced, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is going to be forced, because the minimum digits you can put into this cage are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and those sum to 21. So I have to increase one of those digits by 1. The only one I can increase is the 6 to the 7. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And this is the same, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is the same. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 cage. So these digits here are 6, 8, and 9. That's interesting. Do I want to keep these pencil marks? I don't know. I don't know. Because I might just remember it. I'm not sure. Because I'm trying to think how this is going to work. Because if you don't use a 9... Sorry, I got a Discord message while that was happening. I was trying to see whether it was important, and it wasn't. So I don't think that could be a 9. I might keep these for now. What I might do is I might just colour those in yellow. Actually, no, I'm not going to colour those in yellow because I'm going to have to use sandwich colouring in this puzzle. So I'm going to remember that these cages are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So I can never put a 6, an 8, or a 9 in these cages. Okay, now, this I don't think can be a 9 because in a sandwich total, you can never use the 1 or the 9 because they're the crusts of the sandwich. So the maximum you could use is 8, 7, and 6, and 8, 7, and 6 sum to 21. So if this was a 9, first of all, the 1 could only be 2 steps away because I can't put a 1 in either of those. So if this was a 9, the furthest away I could put a 1 would be here or here. And I can't do 22 for this sandwich clue in 2 cells. It doesn't work. So there's no 9 here. So there's a 9 in one of those. This is not part of... what? So the minimum you could make a 22 sandwich clue is 4. So one of these is a 9, and if it's 4, could it be 5? Yes, of course it could be 5. Could it be 6? Could it be 6? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is almost certainly too high, because those would be the minimum it could be. Yeah, it can't be 6, because if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm at 35 minus 8, which is 30. So I could do it in 5, because then I'd be taking 15 away from 35, and that gets me down to 20. So I could do it in 5, but I can't do it in... So it's either 4 or 5. But if this is the 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, and if this is the 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, this could never be part of it. And I think that's the same in all of these. If this is the 1 or the 9, then 1, 2, 3, 4, that could never be part of it, even if it's 4 or 5. And if this is a 1 or a 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, this could never be part of it. So whether you do a 4 or a 5 in this column, this could never be part of the sandwich clue. And if I start closer and go down, it's even worse. 1, 2, 3, 4. These cells are always included in the sums, which means I can never put a 1 or a 9 in those. Which I think means that's a 1-9 pair. Because I was just thinking about how I make this work. And so this is a 1-9 pair. Because the 1 or the 9 has to be done in 4 or 5. If I did it in 6, if this was a 1 and this was a 9, the entire row sums to 45. If I take away the crusts, which sum to 10, I'm left at 35. If I take 22 away, I'm left with 13, and the leftover cell has to be 13. I can't put a 1 or a 9 in here because of these 22 clues, and this is the maximum it can be. So this is a 1-9 pair, and those are crust clues. So... and these are not crust. But I don't know anything about these columns because there's no... but I do... I was about to say I don't know anything about these columns because there's no sandwich clues, but that's a 22. And I've already said that if there's no 9 in that cage, it's 8, 7, 6, which is 21. There's a 9 in that cage, so that's the 1 and that's the 9. Okay, now... how big is this cage? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's a 1 and a 9 in this cage. So there's a 9 in one of those two cells. But 35 minus 22 is 13. So these cells have to sum to 13. They're not 9, 4. They could be 8, 5 or 7, 6. So these cells have to be from 5, 6, 7 or 8. So in here, these have to contain 2, 3 and 4. I could never put 6 or 8 in them because if this is 8... because these sum to 13. If this is 8, 5, that's 6, and I can't put 6 in any of these. Holy cow. So, because these sum to 13, if this is 8, 5, this is a 6, and I can't put 6 in 8 or 6 in any of those. If this is 6, 7, this is 8, and I can't put 8 or 6 in any of these. So, I can't put 8 or 6. No, I was about to make a mistake. I was about to say these had to be a 1, 9, 8, 6 quadruple, but there is one in the middle. How do you make a 22? It's 9 with another 2 cells that sum to 13, which is another 5, 6, 7, 8. But I don't know how to use that. I was about to say, where's the 9 in this 22 cage? But there is no 9 in this 22 cage. What am I even talking about? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. I know 1 and 9 are in these. 9 is more restricted. If the 9 is here, the 1 has to be down here. If the 9 is here, the 1 has to be up here. So there must be a 1 in the cage in one of these. I can put I was about to say I can't put a 9 in any of these, but I can put a 9 there if that's a 1. But if this is 9 and 1, because I couldn't go down, this would be 9 and this would be 1 because there's my 4 difference. That would put a 1 down here, making that the 9. So if that's a 9, that's a 9. This is weird. But I've still got to get other 22s in. Is it this 22 cage? Because I don't need to put a 9 in a 4-cell 22 cage. Oh, these are not 1 or 9. So those can turn green. If this is a 9, the 1 is down here, and these all turn green. If this is the 9, 1 would be in here. Where would the 1... Actually, it would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It'd have to be in one of those two. So the 1 can only be in one of those cells. I can never put a 1 in those cells. Because if this is the 9, 1, 2, 3, 4... it could be in one of those two because it can be 4 or 5. So those cells there can never be part of, can never be 1 or 9. If 9 with 1 down here, where does that put 1 in this box? Actually, could these sum to 13? If this is 9, 1, could those two cells sum to 13? I'd have to use 8, 5, or 6, 7 again. And I think I could. This is... Okay, I see why people told me this was tricky. But I have to put a 9 or a 1 in one of these. 1 is in one of those cells. Now, if this is a 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 is up here. Hang on, if this is... I can't put 1 down here. I can never put 1 down here. If I put 1 down here, where do I put the 9 in the column? I can never put a 9 into any of those cells. Because the 22 cage is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. So I can never put a 9 into the 22 cage. So if I put a 1 down here, if I put a 1, the furthest away I could put the 9 is there, and I'd have to make those two sum to 22. If I put the 1 here, the furthest away I could put the 9 is there. There is never a 1 down here. So the 1 is up here. And that means I can't put the 9 here, because if I put the 9 here, then this would be, the 1 and the 9 would be next to each other. So the 9 is down here, and I can't put the 9 in box 7. That's the 9. And that, oh, that's so clever. That is redonkulously clever. Now, this can't go down because the maximum number of digits I could have is 2, and they'd have to be 11 and 11 or even more. So it can't be those. There's no 1 in the 22 cage, but there is a 9 in there. But this has to be at least 4, and that becomes the 1. These now have to sum to 13. I'm going to need my spreadsheet for math. I know I am. But this is now the 1, which means I can't put a, sorry, wrong color, which means I can't put a 1 in this cage. So if this was the 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd have to put another 1 in the cage and I can't do it. So that's the 9. This is stunning. This is not the 9. This is a 6 or an 8. And the 1 goes down here. I can't put a 1 or a 9 in this cage now because it sees both of them. Can't put a 1 or a 9 here because it sees both of them. Can't put 1 or 9 anywhere in this row. It sees all of them. And that's going to put a restriction on these. This is insane. Now, there is a 1 in here, and it's in one of those two, and this can't be... So there is a 1 in one of these two to complete this. So this can't be a 1 or a 9. Okay. I'm going to unmark those because it's across boxes, similar to this one. I don't like it. Actually, I'm going to keep it, but I don't like it, but I'm going to try and remember. So... if it's but I can, but this is a 6-8 pair. But I could make these sum to 13 if this was the 1. That's so clever. But now, 1, 2, 3, 4, these cannot be 1s or 9s. And I have to put a 9 down in one of these two because I can't go up because there's not enough room. 9 has to be in one of those two now. And 1 is in one of those 3. So how am I doing the 22 in this column? I can't put a 1 or a 9 in either of these, surely. Because if I put a 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I run out of options. And 1, 2, 3, I run out of options. So I can't put a 1 or a 9 there. If I put a 1 or a 9 here, 1, 2, oh, I could put a 1 or a 9 there. I can't put it there. Here, doesn't work. 1, 2, 3, and I run out. 1, 2, I've run out. That doesn't work. But here does. And why have I got that marked in green? That's green, not yellow. What a twonk knuckle eye is. Now, this can't be. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, and I run out. So this can't be. So this is a 1 or a 9. That's so cool. But I don't know which one it is. If it's 9, it puts 9 in the 22 cage. I am going to open the killer calculator for some assistance here. Because 22 cages are very, very weird to try and figure out. So, if this is a 1, there's a 9 here. If this is a 9, there's a 1 in one of those. But one of these has to be a 1 or a 9, doesn't it? If I don't have a 1 or a 9 here, this column can't get its 22 because I can't put them here and here. One of these has to be a 1 or a 9, so that's not the 1, 9. That is, and that's a 1, which means these are not 1, 9. So 1 has to be up here, but remember this pencil mark was for the cage. And this is why pencil marking across the cage was a problem. But there is a 1 in one of those two. So these have to sum to 13. So if this is an 8, those would have to sum to 5, which would be 2, 3. Which they could be, because this and these would be 4, 5, 7. If this is a 6, those would have to sum to 7, which would be 2, 5 or 3, 4, both of which work. Okay, the reason there's an edit point here is because I got completely lost on this puzzle. This puzzle is really tricky, and what I ended up having to do is stop the recording and figure out where I went completely wrong. Now, I hadn't made any mistakes in my logic, but I just went completely off the beaten path. So what I'm doing now is I'm coming back to a point where there was a valid deduction to make, a couple of valid deductions to make. And I'm going to start again with some knowledge of this puzzle that is not blind, but I did have to find it. But you don't deserve to see the 45-ish minutes I spent struggling to find it. So, okay. What we've got now, and this I think is important, is a couple of things that are worth noting. So the first thing I want to note is, what is this cell? Because, and similarly, what is this? But where is this in row 5? This cell cannot be in this cage, and it's not a 1 or a 9, because the 1 and the 9 in this cage are disposed. So this has to be 5, 6, 7, or 8. Okay, let's put the green back. This is 5, 6, 7, or 8. And up here, we've got 1 with 5, 6, 7, or 8. So this cell, these two cells here, well, this cell is one of those three. Yeah, this cell is one of those three, I think. Or but this cell is one of those, this cell is one of those, and this cell is one of those three, and this cell is one of those three. So it's a bit weird, but this cell has to be one of these three for the, or these two for the row. So it's 5, 6, 7, or 8. Now, that's going to matter, I think. Now I'm stumped again. Because these have to sum to 13. So I can't put 7 in here. So I know the 7 is up here. So these, remember this cage was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So there's no 7 here. So these are from 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are 13. And this is what matters. Okay, these, because of this one 9 and this one 9, this needs to sum to 13 and this needs to sum to 13. That's what matters. Now, can I put a 7 in here? Because if I put a 7 in here, because I have to put a 7 in here somewhere, because these are 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. If I put a 7 in here, the minimum here would be 7 and 2, which is 9, and that would need to be a 4, and it can't be, because this cell has to be one of those two, and they can't be 4, because those need to sum to 13, and I can't use a 9. So there's no 7 in here. This is a 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the 7. Now, what matters now is these are 2 times 13. So these cells sum to 26. So, but I know the sum of those because those are 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those are 14. So these have to sum to 12, which is either 8, 4, which it can't be. So it's 6 and 6. That's the trick. That 6 makes that the 8, which takes 8, 5 out of those, and those become 6, 7. And then this becomes a 1, 7 pair because I can't put the 7 here. Is that right? Yeah, I can't put 7 in this cage because of the 6, 7 pair. So this becomes 1, 7. That matters. And that was a really important trick that I spent 45 minutes not finding. And I realized, hang on, there was something about the sums. And that's when I stopped recording and rolled the video back. But this 22 cage now becomes forced because I can't use a 6 in it. So this is 9 plus 2 cells summing to 13. So it's either 8, 5 or 7, 6, and it's not 7, 6. This is 5, 8, 9. So there's no 5 in here. So the 5 is in here. So up here, I've got 2, 3, 4. I don't have 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, and 7 are in here. So the 5 is in one of these two. So these are 2, 3, 4, 5, but the 5 must be in one of those two. But I know what these digits are. These are 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is a 2, 3, 4, 5 quadruple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 7 and 8. Wow, this is stuff that I did not... Okay. in the, 5 minutes I've been recording this video since I started to record again, I've already found like quite a few things like that I did not find in the 50 minutes that I spent, 45 to 50 minutes I spent after I rolled back to a point 50 minutes after I spent exploring, after I realized, wait a minute, those were each 13s, and that's going to put some mathematical pressure on this. I immediately stopped and rolled back, and in 5 minutes, that's the trick I missed. So 7 in these rows. If I put a 7 here, if I put a 7 here, this becomes a 1, this becomes a 7, and this becomes an 8. If I put a 7 here, this becomes a 1, and this becomes a 7. There's an X-wing of 7s. I can't put 7 in any of these. These are a 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 7. Okay. 7 is not in any of those. 7 is in one of those two because I can't put 7 in those cells because of the X-wing on the 7. I can't put 7 in any of those. The 7 looks up. That's not the 7. That's the 7. Now, I'd spent a lot of time exploring these sandwich clues and getting nowhere. Because if this is a 1, this is a 9. If this is a 9, this is a 1. I think I figured out this couldn't be... No, this could be a sandwich clue. Man. But I know 9 is in one of those two. Okay, so I found some stuff. Seven. Oh, hang on. Where's 7 in this box? 7 is in one of those two. So this is the 6, this is the 7, which means this is the 1 and this is the 7. That's critical. So this is the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is not the 9. So this is the 9. And this is the... So these have to sum to 13. So those digits have to sum to 6. And I can't use 1, 5, so those are 2 and 4, and 2, 4 comes out of there. So I know what these are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are 3, 5, 6, and 8. And the interesting thing is, and I'd kind of seen this before based on which one of these was 9, but the sum of the if this was a 9, I'd realized that whatever the sum of the digits outside the cage up here were are going to be the sum of those two digits there, because those sum to 22 and those sum to 22. But I don't know that they have to be the same digits. Oh, this 7 makes this the 8 and this the 7. So I now have 1 here. So if that's a 1, oh, this is a 9, so this is a 1. So this is the 9, because I can't put 9 here. So this is the 9. So this is not the 9. This is a green cell. These are all green. This is green. There has to be a 1 in one of those and a 9 in one of those two, and this is green. These are all green, which means this is not the 1. So these sum to 13, which I've got, and these sum to 22, which I have. So I'm actually going to mark that sandwich clue is done. Oh, wait. I can do more. This is 15. So these have to sum to 7. That's a 3, 4. So that isn't 3, 4. This is 2, 5, which is across making that the 4 and that the 2. This trick, missing that for 45 minutes, blood boiling. But you don't get to see that because there's no reason for you to. The 3, 4 takes the 3, 4 out of there. 6, 2, 5. Please tell me that sums to 13. It does. But the 2, 5 takes the 2 out of there. This is the 3, 4. So there's no 3, 4 there, and this is a 2, 5 pair, which is fine. But that means in this row, 4 is in one of those two. That's the 3 and that's the 4. Okay, so I know this triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, and 7. So these are 1, 2, and 7. Okay, now that's not the 1. That's not the 7. Now, I don't have this sandwich location. And I know these sum to 13. Those sum to 13. Oh man, I so want to reach for my spreadsheet. So if this is a 2, these have to sum to 11. I couldn't use 9, 2. I could use 8, 3. I couldn't use 7, 4. Sorry. Yeah. If this is a 2, these sum to 11. Couldn't use 9, 2. I could use 8, 3. I couldn't use 7, 4. I could use 6, 5. If this is a 5, these would have to sum to 8. Couldn't use 1, 7. Could use 2, 6. Couldn't use 3, 5. Does that mean there's always a 2 up here? If this is a 2, great. If this is a 5, these would have to sum to 8. No 1, 7. I could use 2, 6. I couldn't use 3, 5. So there's always a 2 up here. So this isn't a 2. And these digits sum to 15. Oh, hang on, there's no 3 in any of those because of that 3. This is a 2, 4, 5. That's a 3. So there's no 3 in any of those. There must be a... So there's a 6 in one of those two. I don't think I need this mark. There's a 6 in one of those two. Two is in one of those three, which is a bit weird. Maybe it's this cage? If this is 5, 6, these need to sum to 11. Which couldn't be 9, 2. It could be 8, 3. It could be 7, 4. If this is 5... Oh, there's no 6 there. Six is in one of those three. 7 is in one of those three, but not there. I haven't forced anything into this cage, which is a bit weird. Is it the 13 trick again outside these cages? This isn't a 9. 9 is in one of those two. 127. So 7, oh, that's a 7, which is completely meaningless. Okay, these are 3, 4, 8, and 9. So these digits here are 3, 4, 8, and 9. Man, I hate this pencil marking. There's no 9 there, there's no 9 there. This can't be an 8, can it? Because these digits have to sum to 15. If this is an 8, 4, if this was an 8, 8, 4 would need this to be a 3, and it can't be. 8, 5 would need that to be a 2, and it can be. No, it can't be a 2, because 2 has to be up here. This can't be a 2. So if this is an 8, it'd be 843 or 852, and I can't do any of those because I need 2 up here. So this isn't an 8. So 8 is down here. But now these have to sum to 15. So if this is 4, 5, this is 6. If this is 3, 4, this is 8, which doesn't work. And if it's 3, 5, that's 7, which doesn't work. This is 4, 5, and 6. The 5 makes that the 2, which makes that the 4. This is now a 2. This is a 2, and these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, and 8. And please tell me they sum to 13. They do. And the 8 makes that the 3 and that the 8. These are 1, 5, and 6. There's no 1 at the top. And down here, I can remove the 4. So these are 3, 8, 9. That is really tricky. Okay, so is there anything more I can remove because of that? This 6 takes 6 out of there. This is now a 6. Okay. So these digits, oh, wow. So if this was 1, 9, those would need to sum to 13, and they can. But this 2 makes this the 5, which takes 5 out of there. So what are these? These are 13. So I need another 9. So, which has to be at least 2 cells. This can't be a 4-cell total because this is only 13. So I need to add another 9, but I can't add 9 in a single cell because I'd need to use a 9. So I need 2 more cells in the sandwich sum. So those both have to be in the sandwich sum, and that's the 1 and that's the 9. That is bonkers! And these now need to sum to 9. So there's no 9 there. There's no 1 there. These have to sum to 9. 3, 6 works, but I can't use 8, 1. So this is 3. This is 6. This is 5. The 3 makes that the 8. Please tell me this has worked. 10, 22. Okay. The 8 means that's the 5, and I take 5 out of those. The 9 makes that the 8 and that the 9. But I've done all the sandwich sums now. So I'm done with the colouring. One, 2, I need to put 3 in here, which is in one of those 2. I need to put 4 in here, which has lots of options. I need to put 5 in here, which is in one of those 2. 6, 7, I need to put 8. This is a 5, 8 pair. So because that's a 5-8 pair, that's the 3 and that's the 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 and 6 go up here, and that 2 makes that the 6 and that the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 9. There's no 9 there. There's no 4 there, but there's no 3 or 4 there. That's the 9, that's the 3, that's the 4. This is pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 and 6. Not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 8 and 9, and I'll use the 9 to make that the 8 and that the 9. These are 1 and 5. Don't know. Still don't have it. So these are 5, 6 and 8. So there's no 8 there, but this is a 5, 6, 8 triple. 6 must be in one of those two, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are 2 and 4. Oh, that's crazy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, and 7. So there's no 7 there. So it's this 22 cage now. Oh, Lord. Okay, so there's another edit point, because at this point of the puzzle, I again got completely stuck to the point where I actually couldn't finish the puzzle. And I had to reach out to the community and say, help, because I could not see a way through this. And here's what was eventually found. I did get a little bit further than this, but here's what we did. So in order for this 22 cage to work, we need to figure out what the options are here. So if this is 6 and 5, these sum to 11, and these would need to sum to 11. So I couldn't use 2, 9. I couldn't use 3, 8. I couldn't use 4, 7. So this would have to be 7 and 4 if this is 6 and 5. If this is 6 and 8, then this would sum to 14, and these would need to sum to 8. I couldn't use 2, 6, so there's never a 2 here. I could use 3, 5. Except I can't use 3, 5, because if this is 3, 5, then the 3, 5 here would make both of those 6. So there's never a 3 here. So I couldn't use 3, 5. Remember, I couldn't use 4. I can't use 4, 4. So this would also have to be 7, and this would have to be 1. So this is 1 or 4. So that's where you get to in order to find that. And I did not find that, and I had to reach out for help. The 7 here, of course, makes this 2, which makes this 1, which makes this 7. The 1 looks back making this 4. This now sums to 17, and I need a 5 to get to the completion. And I did not find that myself. I absolutely didn't. That makes that 2. That makes that 4. The 4 and the 2 make that 3. The 3 looks up making that 6 and that 3. The 6 looks down taking the 6 out of here. Of course, the 8 makes that the 5 and that the 6. The 5 makes that the 1 and that the 5. This is a triple, which is 1, 2, and 8. There is no 1 in either of those. That's the 1. The 3 makes that the 4 and that the 3, which looks, there's something here. The 8 makes that the 2 and that the 8, and the 2 makes that the 5 and that the 2, and the 5 makes that the 8 and that the 5. And that is the solution to the puzzle. I didn't find that. Basically, while I was able to figure out the casing on this, I wasn't able to quickly enough see the combination that broke these cells if this was the different options. It's clean. It's really clean. I just didn't see it, and I had to reach out and get help. And that's fine. That's the way it works sometimes. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you're enjoying the pack. And as always, good luck with your solving.